Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday episode of the Paranormal Portal. You got me. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. I'm here with you for the duration of our journey tonight. So I hope you're all buckled in and feeling comfortable. You've made it to Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. I can only assume that's a good thing for everybody. I think generally it is. So I hope you guys are all set. Having a great day, wherever you are, whatever's going on. It's been really kind of dry here lately. It looks like it will be for the foreseeable future too, which is, I don't know. I wonder if we're going to get a fire season this year. And that's the one downfall is that in this area where I live, it's like we get a lot of snow, we get a lot of rain in the spring, but then like the summer is this weird stretch where a lot of times we don't have much going on. We had quite a bit of rain this spring, which has been fantastic, but now we hit the dry spell. And so the ground's getting a little harder. The grass is getting a little crunchier. And so I don't know. We'll see how it all works out. But so far we're off to a good start. I've only heard of one forest fire in the area. So that's already, I think, a much better start than usual. So not that you tuned in to check out the weather and living in northern Idaho, but since I get the mic, you get to hear about it. That's just how this works. But hello to everybody, and hello to the new faces that I've seen. I said hello to someone right off the bat. That's a name I wasn't familiar with, and that was E. Spears. How you doing? Hello from Oregon. Good to see you. Your name does sound familiar, though. I don't know. I'm terrible with names, and it's like a personal dyslexia of mine, so I don't know. So if you've been in here a bunch of times, you're like, what the hell, dude? I've been here a bunch of times. I do apologize. I don't get a lot of chance to look at the chat, and I see names all day long, so just forgive me. It's certainly never meant to be an offensive thing. I just truly enjoy looking up and seeing names I'm not familiar with. That to me is a great honor, so absolutely pleased to see that. But during the duration of our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the call board will be open. It is open now. The number to call in is 720-923-0500. I had to check. It's like, God, sometimes I don't know, the synapses don't fire at the same time or something. But again, 720-923-0500. Those are the numbers to dial to get in touch with me here in the Portal Studio. And if you've got something paranormal that you'd like to share, let me know. And again, if you didn't tune in last night, this is the new Paranormal Portal set design. Special thank you again to Taco, who made that sign in the middle, and I did a shadow box behind it and mounted some lights and stuff, and it looks brilliant. That sign is made out of, like, I don't know, 1/8-inch steel. It's plasma cut and powder coated, so it's like serious. That's like bulletproof. It's just amazing, and I got it suspended on by those chains. I went to the hardware store and picked up some chains and got it all rigged up there. So special thank you again for that. And a special thank you to all of you for being here and being a part of the shows, promoting the shows, sharing the shows, telling people you know about the shows. It really means everything to us, and your efforts are amazing. There's lots of ways to help support the show, and all of them are equal. There's not one that's better than the other. Just really thrilled that you guys are here and a part of this. So, let's see, the call board is open. If you want to email in a story, like you don't want to talk to me. And I don't mean that the way it came out. I mean, that's, some people are really shy about it. So if you're one of those shyer people that don't want to get on the horn and tell me about your experience, you can certainly email it as well. Or you can email me your story if you want to be a guest on our podcast, and I can interview you for one of our podcast episodes. In fact, I'll be doing a podcast episode interview right after this show tonight. So I'm going to be rolling for quite a while here after we get done. But I really am thrilled to meet all the new people, hear all of these amazing stories you guys reach out to me with, I don't know. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's always exciting to me because I like to know. That's my passion of the paranormal is, yeah, I'm interested in the history of it. I'm interested in, the ideas and science behind it, but I'm mostly interested in what people are experiencing. To me, that's how I learn the most, is by hearing what you guys have been through, what you guys have seen, what happened when you went through your experience. Every new story has a breadcrumb or two that's different than anything I've ever heard before, and it helps me in a lot of ways kind of understand it a little bit better. So if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, you got a lot of stories to tell, then email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I'll get in touch with you and we'll get that dialed in. But I hope you all are ready because it's time for bed. All right, we are back at it. I wanted to start a little bit different tonight on this Night Terrors episode. Generally, I just dive into ghost stories and stuff, but I wanted to go through something with you guys that I think is really important, and this is the necessity of looking at things in a different way. And I'm going to put something up on the screen here. It's a video from Facebook, and actually I just saw this moments ago, but I've seen a similar one in the past, and so this one is just put up. Let me just get this lined up a little bit here. Okay, right there is good. I'm just getting it all set to show you guys, because here's the thing. Now, I'm not going to say anything initially. I just want you to watch it. Some of you out here are going to go, oh, well, that's this. But just hold off on those comments, if you would, please, until we get to that point, because there's a reason I'm doing this. There's a reason that I'm bringing this here to you guys. And I just wanted to show you how fantastical things can appear when actually there's usually there can be oftentimes a much more mundane explanation. So let's get to this. I'm going to put it up on screen, and here's the video. So check this out. I'm going to mute it though, because I don't want to get any strikes on this, but watch up in the sky here. What's going on? And it's really some spectacular stuff. It looks just bizarre. It's like, what the hell is going on? Is there Star Wars going on up there? Is there some kind of battle happening? What the hell is going on? I mean, look at that. That is just bizarre. It's strange. Lots of weird things going on in the sky, and it is definitely anomalous. And it really doesn't make sense what we're seeing, and it's very curious. But let me check. Let's go back to that. Okay. Here's the tickler. If you look carefully on this image, obviously it's in a traffic area. Obviously, cars have their headlights on, and this is the molding from the edge of a window. What you are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, in this spectacular video, what you are seeing is simply car headlights that are reflecting off of the windshield and coming into the camera. Now, at first blush, this looks like, Jesus, there's like a Star Wars going on. There's a galactic battle happening, or the ships are taking off going to the mothership, or any number of ideas. But this is just car headlights reflecting from the traffic going by. And as you can see, there's cars driving by, and as they do, these weird light anomalies are happening. So that's the point that I wanted to make. I wanted you guys to see this firsthand. That's why it's important to look at all the factors in an image as much as you can, and before you jump on the, hey, it's UFO stuff. Now, I don't blame people for jumping onto this and going, oh my God, because the first one that I ever saw was just like, what the hell is that? And I'm trying to think and think and think and think. And I am, proud to say that I did dial it in before the whole flood of people came in that were able to explain it. It was like, wait a minute, there's traffic. And it totally corresponds to the traffic that's driving by. There's nothing now. You can see there's a stationary lights right there. And then suddenly these weird lights start coming. Oh my God, they're appearing. And then watch, the cars are going to start driving by, and there they go. So this is just a reflection of headlights. So I just thought that was important, because we talk about looking at things and keeping an open mind, but looking at things from a skeptical point of view. The skeptical point of view is not to say that the phenomena isn't happening, that it's not out there, but it's to say that we have to be sure whenever we're putting stuff out there as evidence, as much as we can. And nobody's going to be perfect. I've thrown out things on our Facebook page that somebody's come back and gone, hey, wait, by the way, this is the a Photoshop job, and here's the original image, and it's like, oh. So I've done it as well, but I just think that it's really important to look at these things as critically as you can. Don't jump on the bandwagon right off the bat. Try to look at all the variables you can see, and oftentimes the explanation, even though it looked incredibly fantastic, it's just car headlights in a strange reflection in the window. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, I'm not doing. You're right, Ethan. It is a weird video, but I'm not doing that to try to stomp on anybody's belief. Like, oh well, I was sure that was UFOs, and now I feel stupid. That's not the point of it. The point is just to always keep a critical mind when you're going over people's evidences and stuff, because. And it's not because we don't believe. I think everybody in here at least has an open mind, but it's because it's so easy to get taken for a ride just because. Now, some people would do that intentionally. Like, hey, I saw these headlights. Look at that. Looks like there's a star battle in the sky. Let's put it out there and see how many idiots, start thinking their Star Wars is happening. And people do that. They get a rise out of that. So, again, just keep a critical mind as much as you can, or at least look at things from a skeptic's point of view and try to figure it out. There's just a lot of that going around, and there's a lot of people out there that are just happy to jump on anything and say, yes, that's real phenomena. That is real. I see those faces in those bushes and stuff, and maybe they're there, maybe they're not. I don't know, and it's not my point to try to attack anybody, but I just think you have to have a critical evaluation of things before you jump on the believer train. So I'm going to get to some stories. I hope you don't mind that. It's just something I feel is really important. And I think not enough people are doing that out there, letting people see some strange examples like that and at least discussing it, because it's so easy to say, well, there's UFOs out there. There's, oh, hi, how are you? This is Anubis, ladies and gentlemen. He stopped by to say hi. All right, why don't you just cuddle up down there and make my feet sweat for the next 45 minutes. Sounds like a plan. All right, so I got some stories ready to go for you guys. I hope you're ready to be even further entertained, or at least I hope that first part was entertaining as well. So let's get into these stories and have a look at what's going on for these ghostly encounters out there. And the first story tonight is coming from Illinois. Yeah, it's coming from Illinois. You want to come up? Come on, you can come up. Come on. You want to say hi? Oh, now he's shy. Camera shy. He only wants my attention when I'm not giving him any. Come on. You can do it. You can do it, superhero. He's just such a little funny guy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come here. Oh, come on up. There you are. Can you say hi? Did you get that purr? You saying hi? Okay. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping in, Mr. Anubis. I'll be glad to get all those cat hairs up my nose from the microphone later. Oh, you big shedding mess. Ugh. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. You can't walk up there. There's too much junk. All right. Okay. That was Anubis, ladies and gentlemen. He is alive and well. Absolutely a bundle of joy and claws. He's got these claws, and he does this stretchy thing where he likes to put his claws on my legs and then go with this. It's like this slow persecution. It's just horrible. But anyway, this one is coming from Illinois. This has to do with family friends visits, and it says, shortly after my friend Joey passed away, my youngest son started acting a little strange. He kept pointing up to my ceiling, and since he wasn't talking yet, it made it really hard to understand just what he was trying to say. I decided to try something, and I asked him, where's Joey? Well, he pointed to the ceiling. I'm not sure he could see or feel a presence, but he had something. Well, late one evening, when my husband was at work, my other children were in the living room watching television, and I had my youngest son on my lap while I checked out my emails. He soon fell asleep on my lap, and I got up to walk the 50 yards to his bedroom and lay him on his bed, and I just laid him down when all of a sudden I smelled cologne. Men's cologne. I thought it was odd, seeing as I was the only one in the room and no one in my household wears any, and I wasn't scared or anything, but I started to think it was Joey, but I wasn't sure. Well, I emailed his mother and asked her asked her if he ever wore cologne, and she said yes, he wore a lot of it. I don't know how to tell her that he was in my home, and that I thought I didn't know how to tell her that he was in my home and that I thought my son could see him, so I just came out and told her. And she said she thought that maybe he's some sort of bond with my son. To this day, my son will still point to the ceiling when asked, "Where's Joey?" And I haven't smelt the cologne again since that one night. Do you think my son has some sort of gift? And why would Joey come to my house if we had never met? All comments are appreciated and welcome. Thank you. Rest in peace, Joey. You are missed by many. I think all kids have that gift. I really do. Again, I think even with kids, there's certainly levels to that. Like, some kids are super turned on and they can look around and see these apparitions everywhere. But I think all kids are at least aware when something feels different, when something else is there. I think they're aware of that energy shift or that change that happens when a spirit is near. I don't know that they can all see them. I don't know that they can't. I don't know for sure. But I firmly believe that we, as these small children, without the distractions of our lives, we're probably very much more aware of the environment we were in, including the presence of people that we normally couldn't see. I do relate to the smells thing. I get the smells thing a lot in this house. There's certain periods in certain spaces in this house, in certain times of the day, where I will smell this old lilac perfume. It's like an old woman's perfume is all I can say. It's like a scent you would expect to smell on your grandmother or something. Just a real, those loud flowery scents that some women are really fond of, and especially older women. And I'm not casting any aspersions here, but that's the only thing I can relate it to is in my experience, the older women, my grandmother, my great grandmother, they wore these perfumes that I thought were really strong and pungent, but they seem to have no problem with. And that could be a function of the sense of smell. When they're older, they can't smell it as well, so they apply more, maybe. I don't know. But, certainly I think we all probably, more often than we realize, we're confronted with these ghostly smells. And, I seem to be really aware of those smells and relating that to somebody. Now, I don't recognize the smell that I smell in this house, but I do get the feeling that there's some older lady that lives here, and she's not currently among the. She's definitely what physically challenged. I don't think she has a body anymore, but she's still here, and I catch those smells at the weirdest places at the weirdest times. 3 a.m. I'll just duck into the pantry and get a water and smell, and there it is. It's like this flowery smell. I'll walk to the bathroom, and in the middle of the living room, it's like, ooh, there's that smell. So it's in different places at different times, so it leads me to believe it may be attached to a presence. So I think that the smells are a very powerful indicator for us in many cases as to the presence of something or someone else. But I do think the children are sensitive. They're able to see this stuff. At least a lot of them are. And I'm not sure why that changes. Is it a function of puberty? Is it a function of just our lives becoming more and more complex through the years, that we don't have the presence of mind or we have less awareness of what's going on in the area around us because we're more and more focused and tunnel visioned into our own experience. Maybe. And maybe that's why meditation is such an important tool in developing those senses again for us, because meditation would again open our awareness from these little micro focuses that we have back into a more worldly focus. So perhaps there's something to that. I'm kind of just thinking out loud here as I'm going, but that seems to make sense to me. But, okay, yeah. No, you had your shot there, bud. You had your shot. Okay. I don't need any more cat hair on my microphone tonight. Thank you. But those are my 2 cents about those kind of things. I think the kids will always sense those things first. I think oftentimes the very first to pick up on those presences are these animals. I think they are acutely aware of all the presences around. And they seem, well, because they're in balance. I think for the most part they're in balance with the natural world. And so they pick up on that stuff the most quickly, but I think infants and small children will be next in the awareness spectrum. And then sometime later, younger kids, older kids, and then probably adults right at the tail end of that chain. And, again, it might have something to do with the focuses in our life that we're tuned into these micro focus instead of the macro focus. Maybe. I don't know. Just some thoughts, but you'll have to let me know in the comments what you think of that. I mean, it's, again, open to interpretation. I don't pretend to have these answers, but I just have a lot of thoughts, and so I get to share them. And in the comments, you can share yours. I'd love to hear what you think. So the next one is coming from California, and this has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. So some physical stuff going on. It says, a little over a year ago, my mom and I moved to Concord, California, from Concord, California, to Aptos, A-P-T-O-S, California. We had to move out of our apartment because my mom quit her job and just wasn't able to find another one. So things became really bad for us financially, and eventually my mom turned to my grandma for help, and my grandma said that we could live in her spare house. And this was next door to her house, so all we had to do was pay for the utilities, and that was it. Well, my mom took her offer, and that was how we landed in Aptos. I was completely against it, of course, because I didn't want to leave my school and my friends, but I really had no choice. I immediately hated the house as soon as I stepped foot in it. It was filthy, old, and had an awful stench. It was also unbelievably cold inside. Little by little, my mom and I gradually cleaned, made some minor improvements inside the house to make it feel more livable. It still looks shabby, but it looks better than it did. Anyway, in just a few months of living there, after my older brother moved in with us, I noticed something a little strange. I would always see some sort of black blur zoom throughout the house out of the corner of my eye, and then it would disappear into a room. It almost seemed as if it were wearing a black hood as well, and I always dismissed it as just seeing things. Then one time, while I was hanging out with my brother in his room, we were playing video games while waiting for my mom to come home, and I saw it zoom past me again. And I told my brother that I thought I should get my eyes checked, and told him what I'd been seeing. He then told me that he'd been seeing it too. I was relieved to find out that nothing was wrong with my eyes. When my mom came home, I asked her if she had seen the black figure too, and she confirmed that she had seen it as well. I became intrigued and fascinated, and I looked up black figures on Google, and I eventually came across an article about shadow beings on Wikipedia. It said that shadow beings can appear either as hooded figure or as a man wearing a hat, and it also said it didn't have any human features. It seemed very much like what my family and I were seeing. I read further, and it also said that in some cases, people report being chased, menaced, and sometimes attacked by shadow figures and shadow people. And that sometimes people who witness them are accompanied by a feeling of dread. Luckily, neither of us had experienced any of that, and it seemed to be just minding its own business, and so I never really felt scared or threatened by it. I even came to accept it and tried to see if I could catch a glimpse of it every day. Eventually, as time passed, I noticed that it wasn't there anymore, and I told my mom I hadn't seen it around in a while, and she told me that was because she said a prayer to get it out of the house because she was afraid of it. To this day, I don't know exactly why my mom was so afraid of it. Huh. That's interesting. Again, the whole shadow person thing, I don't think it's an accurate representation of the many things that appear shadowy to us. I think these shadow figures are lots of different things. Some of them were people, some of them never were. Some of them are something else. There's so many stories with so much variation, and the only commonality is that oftentimes these things appear as shadowy apparitions. Most of them seem to be benign. Some of them seem to be incredibly malicious, and some just seem to be nefarious, just trying to hurt or steal like parts of your life force or something. I mean, it seems like they seem to feed. So I think it's several different things that just appear shadowy. They appear as dark figures, so automatically those are shadow people. And I don't think that that's accurate. I think that there are normal hauntings where the spirits appear shadowy just because maybe they don't want to alarm people. Maybe they're being subtle as they can. I think that there are these strange hooded and robed figures that are often seen surrounding people as they sleep, seem to be speaking in some weird language that nobody can understand, almost as if they're casting a spell or something over the person sleeping there. And that to me is really creepy. And people in those experiences that have experienced that specific kind of thing talk about how horrible and dark it felt. And so those are more of the malicious kind. Then there's these hat men. And as far as I can tell, the hat men, they seem to be kind of menacing, but as far as I can tell, most cases of people experiencing the hat men, there just seem to be these benign figures. They look like what you would imagine like an old Western movie character with a hat on, but it's all shadowy and dark. Like they're wearing the duster jacket and they have the hat on, some version of a hat. And they just seem to sit back and watch. And it kind of reminds me of, what's that movie? I think Matt Damon was in. It was called something like Adjustment Bureau or something. And that's what these hat men remind me of, is these strange people or beings that seem to just watch things. And maybe there's a grand scheme they're keeping an eye on. I don't know. I can't be sure. But there's many people have talked to them. Not back and forth, but they've said things to them. And it seems as if those hat men largely respond positively. Like, hey, I don't appreciate you being here. You got to leave. And then this weird hat man being will just back out and leave. And it's just gone. So I think that shadow people is just this real general label of everything that appears shadowy, but I don't think that that's accurate. I think there are some dangerous things that appear like shadow people. I think that there's some benign things that appear like shadow people, and perhaps even benevolent things that appear like shadow people. So it's hard to say, but now Taco, you what? You're Tacito violator? Okay, all right, gotcha. Name change accepted. Sounds good. You're a little taco now. Gotcha. I don't know how big you are or whatever, but maybe that's appropriate. All right. Taquito. All right. So that's my little 411 segment on shadow people. I think that they are a real phenomena, but I don't think that the term shadow people really defines the variety of beings that can be qualified as a shadow person. So let's get to the next. And this one's coming from California. It has to do with a haunted life. It says, hey guys, I'm Diana and I'm 15. And the following things happened to me from the age of 9 till now. I spent days reading a bunch of experiences and I'm fascinated with all of them. My mom is scared about this obsession I have with ghosts, but I don't care what she says. It's a teenager. Well, this is my story. Hope you guys like it. It all started when I was about 9 years old. I was half asleep because a small white noise woke me up. Not sure what a small white noise is. I sat up in bed and I heard the sound again. I wasn't afraid, just a little nervous and curious. I turned my head towards the wall because that's where I heard the sound coming from. And I noticed something dark in the corner, and it was a little girl sobbing in a really quiet volume. And that's when I got scared because I knew it was a ghost, but because I thought it was my younger sister, and yet it wasn't. I knew it couldn't be her because my sister was sound asleep right next to me. When I noticed that, this is when I got frightened. I didn't know what to do. I knew that the last thing I wanted to do was to get out of bed, so I turned around and covered my head with the blanket and dozed off. And about an hour later, I was awoken again by the sobbing. My next ghostly experience took place in the bathroom. It says a few later. I'm not sure what a few later is. Days, weeks, months? I don't know. I was washing my dirty feet because I like walking barefoot. And I was sitting on the stool near the bathtub when soaping up my feet, and I had this strange feeling that I was being watched. The feeling is unexplainable, a weird, creepy feeling. I looked around the bathroom, yet didn't find anything. However, I saw nothing until I turned to the little square window next to the corner of the room. And what I saw really scared me. In the little window, I saw an eye. Not just an eye, but half of a face. It was dark, but I could clearly make out an eye staring back at me. I was really scared. I didn't really know what to do, but I knew I had to get out of there. I ran out nearly slipping because my feet were still soapy. I ran to my mom, but just like many parents, she didn't believe me, which was to be expected, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Not that parents need to believe them, but I think parents need to listen and at least be sympathetic that whatever these young ones are experiencing, whether you believe it's real or not, is not as important as the fact that whatever they're experiencing is scaring them, and it's important to be supportive. And I think that's certainly the problem in that scenario. Let's say the next day the same thing happened, but this time I was in there doing my business again. I had the weird, creepy feeling, and this time I knew where to turn, yet I didn't even want to look at the window, but I was trapped by my own curiosity. I turned to the window, and there it was again, the eye. I ran out just like last time, but my dad stopped me. "Why are you running out of the bathroom?" He looked puzzled. "Dad, there's a guy staring at me through the window." This is the second time that this happened. I was afraid, shaking, and my dad went into his room, grabbed a flashlight, and walked out of the house. My curiosity followed and took my body with it, and my dad went into the little space behind the house, which is where the bathroom window leads to. But we found nothing, not even footsteps. So that's when I knew that this was a ghost. Years passed, we changed houses many times until we found a good home. Home. Though it wasn't until about a month later that we started noticing some really strange stuff occurring. Strange stuff like things going missing and some sounds in the kitchen. However, only I was noticing this. That is until my mom had a little taste of it herself. One day the whole family was in the living room, the kids watching television, my mom sweeping. She finished sweeping, headed towards the restroom, and that's when it happened. She opened the door, but as she did, the door shut itself closed. My mom turned towards the couch where we were sitting, thinking it was one of us in the restroom, and we all turned at her as she slowly walked towards the couch and sat down. She then just told us what happened. A few months later, my whole family and I were on our way to my grandmother's house on my dad's side, and before we left, we made sure not to leave anything on because we were going to be there for a while. We went over and had a big family dinner and everything, and we came back A few hours later, maybe 3 or 4, we entered the house and heard this kind of whirring sound coming from the kitchen. My dad went in first. We were all scared, but my dad wasn't. He entered the kitchen and turned on the lights. The blender was on. My dad checked the back of the blender to see its temperature, to check and see if someone left it on, but the blender was not even warm, which means that no one left it on, because if someone did, the blender would be burning. Yet, it was cold. Not just cold, it was freezing. On March 6th, my mom and I went to the emergency trip to Mexico because my grandmother, from my mom's side, was really very ill. Sadly enough, she died in her sleep. My mom and I stayed in my mom's old room from when she was a young girl. Well, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard some scratching on the window, like with thick fingernails. I was really scared, but I just turned the other way and went to sleep. The next day, my mom told me that she heard these noises too. The next night, the same thing happened, but this time it got worse. My mom and I were asleep. When I wake up to the scratching sounds again, I got really frustrated because I was very tired and wanted to get to sleep. I was just staring at the window when I heard some noises in the room. "Diana, are you awake?" said my mom's voice. "Yeah," I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Diana? Yeah? Did you hear those noises?" "Yeah, I did. Maybe it's just mice." "There are no mice here." "Well, let's not think about what else it could be. Let's just try to get some sleep, okay, Mom?" "Okay, then." And we never heard the noises again. When my grandmother passed away, we knew that she would come back. This is actually something that happened to my mother. She was sleeping in our bed in the afternoon. That day was very cold, and because of it, she was only half asleep. My mom started to get really cold, and then she felt her blanket being stretched up to cover her more. After she finished her nap, she walked over to the kitchen to find out who was responsible for this. No one had ever entered that room. A month later, I arrived back to California by myself because my mom would be coming back later. The night of my arrival, I was taken to go stay at my aunt's house. I didn't get much action there, though, and we went onto my aunt's room. I grabbed a napkin and ran out. I felt like I needed to get out of there quick. Once I was out, I heard the door violently shut itself. It did this frequently whenever I would leave the room. I was changing houses every week. One week I'd be with my aunt. The next I'd go stay over at my grandma's house, and then the next switch back over to my aunt's. Well, one day I was spending the week over at my grandma's house, and at about 3 a.m., I was awoken by the sound in the kitchen. I didn't know what it was and didn't want to find out. I turned around and covered my head, and then what I heard next really scared me. I heard little knockings on the floor. I tried to close my eyes. I thought I was dreaming. Yet I stayed awake, listening, waiting for them to stop. I listened carefully, and then I noticed something more frightening. Those were not knocks on the floor. They were footsteps. Someone with high heels headed towards the living room where there was a couch in which I was sleeping on. And then they were gone. About 2 months later, my mom returned from Mexico. We were very happy to see her. My mom was also very happy to see us. She settled back in and told us of her travel. 6 months later, we moved. We moved into this small home. It had one room in which my brother, sister, and I would sleep in. One night, I went to the restroom at about 1 a.m. I went into the bathroom, and then I heard footsteps in the kitchen. I walked out into the kitchen, but I saw nothing. Another night, at about midnight, I was lying in bed when I felt 2 fingers brush against my back. I was more scared than I had ever been. I felt like I wasn't safe, even in my own home. I had to let it go. There was nothing I could do but wait to be alone again. The next day I told my mom, and a month later we moved. We now live in a 2-room house. I have my room and my brothers share one. My mom and sister sleep in the living room, and they don't mind, not after they heard my stories of what happens in my room. One time after I was done taking pictures in my room, I went to the store to reveal them, and when I got them back, I noticed some orbs, about 3, over my face. I showed them to my mom, but she was denying it. She would not accept to know that her house was haunted. I thought that this was only a small thing, but I was wrong. One time when I went to the restroom, I heard footsteps coming from the attic. Well, I didn't know that there was an attic until after I went to check what the noise was. When I found out that there was an attic, I started locking my door at night. And I told my mom, but again, I got in trouble for getting things into her head. I thought that my mom would never believe me until one day she was cooking in the kitchen and my little brother was taking a shower. I was out with my dad. She told me that while she was cooking, she saw a little boy at the side of a wall at her. I don't know what. Looking at her, I guess. And then she went to check it out. She saw something dark run into my room. She went into the bathroom and my little brother was still in the shower. Some noises still occur, yet I don't mind. I just ignore them and live my life. Many things happen in my home, things that just aren't explainable. I'm being stalked by something, not of this nature, and I've learned to live with this. To me, it's a gift. Hope you liked it. So I guess in the narrative of that story, I mean, it's a fine story and all, but the thing I'm noticing is that the mom believed and then she didn't believe, and then she believed and then she didn't believe, and those are the kind of things that I don't really understand what I'm reading, because either it's out of sorts or it's out of order or it's just a fabrication. Why does the mom believe, have these experiences, and then go back to not believing and in denial, but then believe and then not believe? I don't know. Those are the red flags for me whenever we're reading stories. And again, it's represented as a true story, so that's why I'm bringing it to you. But is it? Maybe not. I don't know. I guess in some place, at some point in the story, the dad decided to not be a part of the family, which is, truly unfortunate. And that's got to be a hard situation, especially with kids. But I don't know what's going on. That wasn't really pointed out in the story, but suddenly dad was there and then dad wasn't there. So there's obviously some narrative that was left out or omitted, or it just didn't get built in, and maybe that's an inconsistency that kind of waves a flag too. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed it all the same. The activity that this person is talking about is not... It's not out of the realm of possibility, of course. I mean, we hear these stories all the time. People having knocks and footsteps and, doors shutting, opening, et cetera, figures scooting around. It's all pretty common as far as ghost stories go, but it's those other inconsistencies that make me go, wait a minute. That's not making sense to me. So be your own judge. I don't ever imply that you have to believe everything I'm reading. I don't believe everything I'm reading. And when I don't, I'll tell you why. And that's the thing that's jumping out at me, is these narrative inconsistencies that I don't really understand. But it is what it is. Because people love that figure of speech. It is what it is. Okay, let's continue on. And this is pretty, not too bad. How are we doing for time? God, really? Got about 10 minutes left. My God, where'd the night go? It just goes so fast. All right, this one's coming from Nevada, and it has to do with miscellaneous type of activity, so it should be a lot of everything in this one. It says, excuse me, I don't mean to right into the microphone. I'm such a professional. All right, the next one is Nevada. It says, I'm 29-year-old male. In the past few years, I've really had some strange experiences when I go to sleep. I've never had unexplained things happen to me since I was about 7 years old. I've had unexplainable things happen since I was about 7 years old. Sorry about that. Sometimes I have really great experiences, and other times downright fearful. About 3 or 4 times a month or more or less, I'm prone to feeling like something is in my room trying to interact with me. I've never seen it, though, until tonight. It's 12:25 a.m., about 40 minutes after my experience. I tried to read online about what I saw to see if there's anything about it, and here I am. Now, sometimes when I feel something is in my room or around, I can never see it. Just get a malevolent feeling as if something is there to try to do harm to my being in some kind of way. It feels as if it's pushing into me, and I fight very hard to awaken. And I'm filled with a feeling of fear, and at times I often find it hard to fall back asleep, and it may occur 2 or 3 more times as I try to fall back asleep. When this happens, I will try to sleep with the light on, but to no avail. It either will stop on its own or not. I've even had this occur during the daytime hours of the morning. Time of day doesn't matter, nor the amount of light. This happens to me quite frequently since I was a kid. Sometimes even what's classified as night terrors occurs in me. Those darn night terrors. Where I get this intense fear and scream and have an episode when I have no recollection of an experience, just a remembrance of intense fear. As of lately, like last year or so, I have good experiences, similar but more intense than this. It sometimes feels as if something great, and I describe it as euphoria, not fear, is trying to take a hold of me. Often at times, this feeling gets so intense that I don't want to wake up. But I have to because I can't stand it. It gets more and more intense the longer it lasts. It's almost like falling down a roller coaster in terms of the butterfly feeling in the stomach, but way more euphoric. At first, it didn't last long, but I could hold the feeling, the good feeling in me longer and longer as it happened more frequently, and I would know I was asleep at least somewhat of the time, but I'm not in deep sleep. This occurs about 20 to 30 minutes after I first try to fall asleep. Now, as I got better at holding this good feeling in me, I'd start to feel the energy radiating from my hands and arms. A vibration, if you will. It feels very powerful. Like I could shoot lightning or move mountains with my hands. Well, tonight I got that feeling and I was able to open my eyes while experiencing this. And I saw waves around my hands. And as I breathed, they went past the waves like smoke. A stream of it billowing from my mouth like a mist. It looked like heat waves in my hands. Like how heat bends the light waves. And I was able to see my mirror across from my bed, and I saw a dark figure in my room, and I couldn't see the face, but it was hooded. And this led me to intense fear. I mean, I could see my TV on, my hands shaking and vibrating before this, waves and smoke, mist and everything, and then the figure in my mirror. Then I got scared and tried to awaken or snap out of it, and whatever you want to say. I'm practically crying writing this. This isn't a dream. This is an experience. I can recall vividly and accurately, and it fits the MO of everything strange that happens to me at night. I know it's not a ghost in my house. This happens to me. In lots of places I have slept, but this is the first time I have seen the figure. I know I'm not crazy. I'm very in control of myself and my life, but I feel when I am asleep that maybe I'm more vulnerable or able to be influenced by something. I would love some input because the other stuff I can dismiss as sleep paralysis or brainwave kind of stuff that happens in the first 30 minutes of sleep. But now it just got a whole lot real, and my eyes are open this time. I witnessed it all. That's really wild. I don't know. That's a unique kind of experience. I remember hearing a story, and I can only remember fragments of it. This is years ago, but the person woke up to seeing this weird lion-headed, I don't know, being above their bed, and it wasn't looking at him, but it was above him and seemed to be faced towards a door or something, as I recall. And it just seemed like this menacing, but it was glowing, a glowing, beautiful figure, but it looked just like it was no nonsense, no goofing around. This thing was plenty serious, and the person was scared by it. And I think that they lashed out at it in some manner or another, and were trying to cast it away or push it away. But I think what they found out is, as the time went on, they continued to see this figure, but they realized that the figure was actually acting in a very defensive manner around this person, and was actually warding off something dark that was trying to attack this person. Some really dark, creepy thing that was lingering in those shadows and was forcing that creature back into the shadows. I don't remember what it is. I mean, again, I think that there's all kinds of things in this world. We have a very limited vocabulary to try to understand what's going on around us spiritually or in a spiritual fashion. But I think that's the playground of universes and dimensions and things that we just can't possibly comprehend at this point in time. But perhaps these are lower and higher vibrational beings that are constantly, holding vigil over us and protecting us versus being attacked by the lower vibrational ones. I don't know. It is creepy, but I found it interesting that the person in this experience first saw that weird figure, didn't know what it was, freaked out, and was trying to lash out at it and trying to hit it and get it the hell away. But once he relaxed and really observed the situation when it happened over and over, realized that this thing was acting as a guardian. And so there is that. That's, maybe we can't be too quick to judge these situations because we just don't know. Sure, he saw a hooded figure in his mirror, and automatically we go to our normal dark robe, hooded, that must mean bad. And that's our duality, I guess. It's our mentality of duality. White is good, dark is bad. And it's not that simple. I don't think it's that simple. And so there could certainly be benevolent entities that would appear dark to us, but that doesn't mean that they are. I'm not saying that they're not either, though. I'm not in the situation, and only this person could know because they were there. They felt these sensations, and I don't know. But it does remind me of that story of that person seeing that weird lion-headed thing and trying to lash out at it because it scared him. But when it kept happening, he was able to look at the situation more objectively and see that it was actually acting in a protective manner. So maybe there was a dark, shadowy, horrible creature for this guy, but maybe what he couldn't see was the thing that was feeding him with all this euphoria and light and protection. Could have been an angel behind him. We don't know. So warding off this dark thing. I don't know. I guess it's weird, and it's certainly you certainly got a hope, but do you know? I don't know what they're experiencing, what they're going through, but that is a bizarre experience, very powerful. I don't know. Wonder where it's going. All right, let's go to. Oh, I don't want to read this. I'm gonna skip that one. This one is coming from Kentucky, and it has to do with haunted places. Hope you don't mind if I take a drink. I know it's. Let's see, how long is this? No, this one's not too long. This will be the last one for the night. I know we're gonna go right up to the wire on this one, but that's okay. We can do that. Oh, hydration. The Minion and I made Krabby Patties tonight. We had Krabby Patties, and I made them way too salty. All right, Kentucky. Haunted places. It says, I'm a college student. I've recently moved away from my home in Alabama to start my education. I attend a very historical college, and I've heard stories from a lot of people. I never gave the stories too much thought until about a month ago. One night around 1 a.m., I was walking across campus to my dorm, and there was a very long hallway besides our gym, and I was going around the corner when I first saw a dark shadow on the wall with no explanation. It appeared to be a very large male figure. I had the worst feeling I've ever had in my life at that moment. It was like all the anger and sadness and fear in the whole world just landed right on my chest. Now, even though I'm a science major, I was not too curious, and walked all the way around the huge building and took the long way home. I let the little incident slip out of my mind until a few nights ago. For the past 2 weeks, there have been strange goings-on near or around my room. I've tried to explain them away, but I can't think of any more excuses. My lights flip on and off constantly to the point that it's driving me insane. My computer blares heavy metal music as loud as it can periodically during the night. My alarm clock is stuck on 2:29 a.m. and never resets, even if I unplug it. I feel someone touching my legs at night, and I've even felt my cover being pulled off of me, and now I have mysterious bruises, and I can't think of a reason for me to have them, even when I rack my brain. My roommate left about three weeks ago, so now I have the room to myself. When I look at my bed, I can see the imprint of someone sitting there, and my cover will never straighten out. Things go missing from my shelves all the time, and I know that there's not been anyone in my room because I'm the only one with a key. I never feel like I'm alone, and I try to avoid the room as much as I can. I sometimes hear heavy footsteps outside in the hall, but when I look, there's no one there, and the lights are not on. All of these things may seem silly, but I'm getting to the point. I don't know what to do. I'm very scientific minded, and when I don't understand something, it will drive me insane. In a way, I feel like this is starting to control my life. Yeah, you got to get control, self-control. Got to have self-control. Sure, the paranormal will take over your life if you let it, I guess. Sometimes these things that linger, they don't have a life anymore like they did, and so they oftentimes imprint themselves upon ours. And if we give them that room, they will stick around. So, I guess that person should probably learn something about warding or protecting or cleansing and purging and getting the energy away. There's lots of ways to do it. That's horrible. If you can't even function in your own life because of something paranormal, then you've got to get help. And this person definitely should be getting help. Again, this story's from 2009. It's an old story, so that person's probably not in college anymore at all anyway. If they are, they're either a bad student or they're going for a doctorate. So, but anyway, I guess that's all I got for you guys tonight. I hope you guys had a wonderful journey with me. Thank you for being here and being a part of the ride. It's just fantastic to look up and see that 50-some people are in here checking it out. Please be sure to spread the word. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live in the future. But that's all I got for you guys tonight. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. I'll be back tomorrow night. Friday night show. Lots going on. So we'll dig into it then. But I love you guys. And, of course, sweet dreams.